the City.
What's going on, St. Louis City fans? My name is Chris, and I'm joined by Ian and Jonah. Today is May 3rd, and we are back with another episode of Soul of the City. We play Dallas this upcoming Saturday at 7:30 p.m., and they're currently sitting fourth in the table. I believe they have 15 points. City sits second in the West with 19 points. So they are going to be looking to pick up some ground on us this upcoming week.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've played some relatively similar opponents. They've already gotten their game against LAFC out of the way, which we have at the end of the month. And that's a pretty big game considering they are firing on all cylinders after this last weekend. They beat the Union, I think, 3-0.
How'd they do against LA?
They lost 2-1, and they got a red card in that game. So the red card was kind of late on. You can't read a lot into it, but I don't think they are as good of a team as LA is. So that's, we're going to see not as hard of a test against them, and then we're going to have a couple of games that we can kind of get back to the basics, try and rack up some confidence leading into that one. But focusing on Dallas, they play pretty similar to Minnesota in a lot of ways, I'd feel like, in terms of defensive cohesion and just blocking it in the back.
Yeah, they just tied Minnesota 0-0 last week, so that kind of makes sense.
Which is uncharacteristic, though, for Dallas, because if you look at their run of games, they've only kept 2 clean sheets. One was against Inter Miami, which is their terrible team this year. And then I think with the Minnesota game, it was just a byproduct of Minnesota playing defensive, and then they both just kind of had a wash at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But they tend to give up they concede at least 1 goal a game. So that bodes well in our favor. I'm still the big question for St. Louis City though is Klaus coming back? I think they have him listed as game time decision.
I pray.
Yeah, because there was no offense in that last game.
We were really missing him for sure.
And if he isn't back for this game, I want to see very different squad selection in terms of the way that we attack on the left-hand side specifically. I want to see, I guess either wing. I want to see Celio or Jensen get a start if we don't have Klaus back, just to add someone running hard at defenders into the lineup.
Mm-hmm. I think Celio has absolutely earned that. He's earned that start. I think he looked so dangerous in that last game. He got his goal. Him and Ostrak brought a different energy, and Carnell even said the same thing. What we came out with, though, just did not work. It was interesting because I think we were Carnell was trying to partner Leuven with Gioacchini up top, and we're going to get into some heat map stuff later, but Leuven, I think, was stretched a little too thin because he felt obligated to come back into the midfield and play that 8 role, but he was supposed to be playing more of the false 9/second striker, and it just did not work at all. So.
Yeah, and I don't think that partnership was particularly good for Gioacchini either, because he did not really have a good game, and it looked like he was just kind of lost.
Yeah.
And I mean, it could have to do with Leuven not really playing up there with him. I think he does kind of do better with a second striker, but I think Gio is more built to be the second striker and kind of drop back and do that false 9 role. So
yeah, not have to stretch the defense. I mean, I think that, not to speak too much on last game, but there were so many poor performances, and one of them that I highlighted while I was watching was I thought Vasilev had by far his worst game of the season.
Really?
He was losing the ball constantly in that second half when I was watching. I thought he deserved to get subbed instead of Miggy. I get that Miggy is young and probably doesn't have the fitness for it, but it is what it is, and we move on.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think it just shows that we're playing not with our full strength, and if it wasn't for Edouard Leuven doing what he having the versatility that he has, we'd be in major trouble as an entire team. I think we've kind of treaded water in these past few games with obviously the loss to the Timbers really hurts at home, but being able to get out of, what was the last game we had? getting out of
Colorado.
Oh,
Colorado with
yeah.
a draw. That was lucky. Yeah. I mean, it just shows like what you have in Klaus. I was hoping Marlon would be on the pod because he has an agenda, but it just shows like you don't know what you've lost until it's gone. And honestly, it's been depression, like sad boy hours since that loss. Since Evander came and celebrated in my face, he went sheesh, and it just has been. These have been the vibes for like days now. I'm not gonna lie. You don't know you love her till you let her go, and I feel that way about João Klaus not being in the lineup because you see the impact that has. I feel that way about Njablo Blom not being in the lineup, and I feel that way about Sam Adeniran getting on loan because we needed him.
Yeah,
it would have been nice to have that big striker presence that Gio could play off of.
A similar profile to Klaus for sure.
Yeah,
and it's weird that he got loaned out. Like they announced the loan out after Klaus was injured, which
right after.
Like I'm guessing they probably were working up to it in the weeks leading up to that, probably. But like if it wasn't finalized yet, why finalize it after Klaus gets hurt?
It was just bad timing. It's bad timing.
I feel like even with the current team with Klaus in it, there is still a ton of room for improvement in terms of chance creation when we are not high pressing. The Minnesota game, when we lost 1-0 at our home turf, was depression because we could not make anything like meaningful happen on the ball. And they were just like, take it. We don't want it.
Yeah.
At least in that game, I felt like there were catalysts. Like Klaus acts as a catalyst. He will drop back in and start making things happen if he feels like he has to, right? In that last Timbers game, I was like, man, in the first half, I was like, we have no answers.
Yeah.
Like Leuven was way too stretched. I already said that. He wanted to come back and help solidify the midfield, but he was supposed to be playing more of a striker role. And it just he's too stretched. So I kind of wanted to pose this question to you guys. Leuven, in my opinion, holds our team together, and he's able to play the 6, 8, and the 10. Where do you guys feel his talents are maximized in our squad?
I personally would say 8, just because I want him to be involved in all 3 areas and have the freedom to make those decisions to go forward and come back whenever he sees fit.
Mm-hmm.
The 6, I don't think, not that he doesn't have the defensive resolve and like tackling ability that someone like Blom might have, but he is a lot more creative than anyone else we have in our midfield, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And he needs to be up there. I have been very disappointed with his long shooting because we hype it up all the time, and we see him from dead ball situations look very dangerous. But other than that, he's definitely our best attacking midfielder. So just having the ball at his feet as much as humanly possible is a recipe for success.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't think he should be playing the 6. Because like Ian said, he's our most creative player, and it's just kind of wasting him if he's like staying back on defense more. I think Blom should 100% be starting there when he's healthy and fit. Then honestly, I feel like it kind of depends on the team that we're facing, like in terms of Leuven's best position, because sometimes we don't really even play a 10 when we have 2 strikers. So like, if we're going to play 2 strikers, Leuven has to start. And in that case, in a 4-4-2, he's going to be playing the 8 role. If we do go back to the 4-2-3-1, then I think Vasilev, Blom, and Leuven are our best midfield 3, with Vasilev playing 8, Leuven playing 10.
Yeah, I would agree. And it's all based, like you guys said, I mean, it's all nuanced based on the team. And I think that just shows, like, we're missing. We saw the impact of Klaus being out of the lineup, and then we really saw we've been seeing the impact of Blom being out of the lineup because it's forcing Leuven to play all these roles that he's not maximized in. I would 100% agree with you guys that he's maximized in the 8 position, and it got a little hot and steamy over the weekend. I got this new computer. I started looking at heat maps and basically versus every single game, tracking Leuven, and his player rating, and then who he was playing next to, what formation we were in. So versus Austin, we were in the 4-2-3-1. He was partnered basically with Blom for the whole game, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had a 8.4, and he was man of the match, right?
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
Very good.
What he's partnered with a more defensive person in the middle for that double pivot. Charlotte, 8.3, man of the match, partnered with Blom. Same story. His heat map shows that he is able to stay more in the middle of the field, maybe a little bit past the half line. Versus Portland, 8.2 rating. He was
Portland
tied
when we went to
we went to Portland. Yeah,
we
correct.
went to Portland.
He was tied with Kyle Hebert for the highest rating. He would have had man of the match if he got the game-winning goal, but that was he got the assist on that. So, or maybe it was Vasilev, but he started at the 10 in the 4-2-3-1 position versus Portland. That's the only difference there. Is he was more in that attacking role because they allowed Vasilev and Miggy to play the two back there.
Okay.
For San Jose, he was 7.6, and he started next to Vasilev in the 4-4-2. So that allows, Vasilev allowing him, again, on his heat map shows that he's more in the offensive half versus San Jose, which we won 3-0. Versus Real Salt Lake, he had an 8.2, started next to Vasilev, again, in the 4-4-2. His heat map shows that he was just free flowing. He was pretty much all over the place, not really too concentrated. So, and that game was an odd one anyway, and we felt like we had control. So
Yeah.
Versus Minnesota, 7.8 next to Vasilev in the 4-4-2. Again, that didn't work out, but he was very concentrated in the attack on that one. 7.5 versus Seattle next to Miggy in the 5-3-2. That did not work at all.
No.
But he still was our highest rated player. Cincinnati had an 8.7 next to Vasilev in the 4-4-2.
Everyone had a great rating that game, though.
Yeah, that's true. Against Colorado in Colorado, he had a 6.9. That was his lowest rating. He started next to Akil Watts in the 4-4-2, and he was definitely more defensive on his heat map there, which it just shows he has the presence of mind to be all right, I need to hold down the defense, hold down the midfield if I'm not paired with somebody who's holding their own in the midfield.
Yeah.
Versus Seattle, he had a 7, and he was basically a striker. This is the most different heat map out of all of them that we looked at. He is
Seattle or Portland?
Portland, my bad.
Portland.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the most
yeah.
recent game. Yeah, he had his 7.0, which is not that. It's an okay game. He was our highest rated player. And he was basically playing as another striker, but it just didn't work out. So
yeah. We looked horrible in the Portland game. So I don't think we should take anything away from that.
Other than Leuven should not be striking, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But we need Klaus back, and we need Blom back to be solidifying that midfield with Leuven. It's just
what you said the other day was that you thought Mickey was harsh on Carnell, whereas I think that Carnell has shown a bunch of attempts at tactical flexibility. Now is when we need it. I think the 4-2-3-1 suits our current personnel, especially if Klaus is out, far better than the 4-2-2 or 4-4-2.
Yeah.
Because if you can allow Leuven and Vasilev to play next to each other, and then maybe throw AZL Jackson, who's kind of tight, good with the ball in tight spaces, to play that cam role, and then have Stroud and Alm on the outside and put Gio up top, I think that might look a lot better, and it still gives Leuven that license to push forward when he needs to, because he has Vasilev staying back for him.
I agree. That 10 spot is the pivotal role right
Right.
now. That's up for question. So you could put Ezekiel Jackson in the 10 and play a 4-2-3-1, or you could stick with the 4-4-2, which I feel like these heat maps show they work whenever he's paired with Blom or Vasilev.
Yeah.
But you would start Celio as your second striker.
And I was thinking about that too.
Yeah.
I think that him stretching the defense in a way that Klaus isn't capable of, running off of the last defender, making runs in behind rather than looking to receive play, could be dangerous in a way we haven't seen before, because Stroud and Alm don't make runs hard at the corner flag or anything like that often.
Because they're too busy pressing or doing defensive work, so I don't fully blame them. It's just not in our style to play like that. So that's my Leuven deep dive. I agree. He's better at the 8, and he needs to be paired with somebody who's going to do the dirty work.
And I think Vasilev can definitely do that dirty work. He's just also really good at like dribbling the ball forward, like turning with the ball's passed to him,
Yeah.
and just beating that first man and driving it forward past, into the offensive third. So I think Blom, like, I really feel like we're missing him a lot.
We absolutely are.
Oh, a ton. Because in all reality, I think that he is by far the best defensive midfielder that we have.
Yeah. Certainly.
Yeah.
And having him, like, it just gives Leuven and Vasilev, especially when it's all three of them on the field together, like Leuven and Vasilev, they can either take turns going forward and knowing that there's still two people back covering their role, or they can both push up and just kind of pass it around the defenders. Yeah.
If we were to play the 4-2-3-1 like you're saying, where we have Leuven, Vasilev, and Blom all on the field, who do you think should play the 10 in that scenario in between the two wide players? Do you think it
Honestly,
should be Leuven?
So on the one hand, I do think it should be Leuven, just so that he can like play more creatively and try and look for passes in behind.
I agree.
But I feel like Vasilev can keep, like, he's quicker with his feet, and he
Much
can
quicker.
work his way through like the tight areas right at the top of the box, which is kind of where you expect to see a 10.
Yeah.
So they
yeah.
could both, like, that's the beauty of having those three, like they can interchange and play how they need to.
Yeah.
But I think it was so apparent how weak our midfield was without Leuven playing in the central role and he in this past game
Yeah.
that I think he needs to play the 8. He needs to play in those two midfielders in the 4-2-3-1, or just like in the 4-4-2. He needs to be right in the midfield playing the 8. The 10 role, I agree. I think Vasilev should get a look. There was one chance in that Portland game that one of the Portland defenders got hurt on a non-contact play, but Vasilev beats his man and he like dribbles around and he gets a shot off. It went high over the bar,
just over the bar.
Yeah, but like I was like, all right, I like in that position on the field, Vasilev was able to get out of trouble and get a shot off. I like that. I would maybe see him in the 10.
Yeah,
So.
but I mean, Aziel Jackson, like you said, he's definitely worth a shout. Celio, I think he could play there, and even Ostrak, if he's been a little bit inconsistent, but he, I think, has the talent to do it as well.
Yeah, I completely
at least
agree.
sub on and be a 10.
He started in that position versus Austin.
Yeah.
That was the original plan.
I don't
right?
think he's deserving of a starting spot as 10 though.
Yet.
Not right now.
Not
No.
right now.
Okay.
Definitely not.
I do think
He could sub on.
him as well as Aziel Jackson bring something valuable, which is runners out of midfield.
Yeah.
That's something Leuven doesn't do. He's not making a run into the box when the ball has like stopped up at the top of the box and we don't have anything happening.
Mm-hmm.
The last game we saw, Alm plays the ball into Ostrak, who's running in behind the defense from midfield.
Yep.
And instantly creates the goal for Celio. I think that that's something really valuable in terms of being creative in a way that we aren't usually, because we are either high pressing, winning the ball back in really advantageous positions and scoring easy goals, or we're just crossing into no one.
That's why I think Leuven should not be playing the 10 position. Because, one, everybody is like hyper aware of him, right? And he's getting man marked. So he's not going to be able to make those runs. But two, he's also just aware like of the pace of the game and how he needs to be back. He needs to be controlling the midfield, be in the general. He can't be caught in the opposition's 6-yard box while they're on a counterattack.
Yeah.
He needs to be part of the team breaking down that counter.
And that's kind of why I don't love the 4-4-2, because those center mids are never going to make those runs into the box.
That's true.
It's going to have to be the two strikers and then the winger out wide coming in.
Yeah.
And that's very easy for a back line of 4 defenders to defend against. Center back on each man. The right back covers the left winger who's making the inside run, and the other defender's out on the wing covering the ball.
Yeah, whereas
So-
opposed to having a 10, that guy's free to kind of just have the creative
He finds
license
the
to run in.
space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Enough about us.
Yeah.
Who are we playing?
We're playing FC Dallas.
And they have some names that I'd say most people would know.
Yeah.
If you follow U.S. soccer,
The national
the
team.
national team, you will know these names.
Jesus Ferreira.
Yeah.
He's probably their biggest name.
Yeah.
And biggest producing player. I don't
Yeah.
know if he's their best player, but he's the production in terms of goals and assists. What did he have last year? Like 18 and 6?
Yeah, 18 goals, 6 assists last year. He has 5 goals already this year. In his 133 games for Dallas, he has 41 goals total. So he's scoring about every three games, which is pretty respectable, I'd say. It's nothing too crazy, but I mean, if you're consistent like that, that's a solid career.
Yeah, but 18 last year is at a lot higher clip, and
Yeah.
he's pretty young, right?
Yeah, he's
So
only 22. So
yeah, he's coming into his own in the MLS right now, so he's definitely one to watch.
Yeah, he's one of those players I'm not mad is in the U.S. men's national team side right now.
he's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, for sure.
Although that game against the Netherlands, he was absolute trash. I think he maybe touched the ball like 5 times.
I don't even want to talk about this most
The
recent
whole-
Yeah,
World
that's
Cup.
okay. We can move on.
Yeah, there should have been other strikers there, but whatever.
Pepe snub.
Oh, absolutely. Talking about another U.S. men's national team player, Paul Arriola. Nice last name. He has 2 assists for the FC Dallas this year.
Mm-hmm.
And he typically plays out on the right side for them. And
Is it more of a right winger role or midfield?
more
Okay.
right winger role.
Because they run like a 4-3-3
Pretty consistently.
typically.
They will
Yeah.
switch it up depending on the team that they play, but I would imagine versus City they'll run a 4-3-3. They also have another U.S. men's national team player previously, I guess, Sebastian Lletget. He has 1 assist this season. He normally plays the left central midfield role for them.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was on the Gold Cup roster, I think, that won it. So yeah, he's. I feel like there's mixed feelings about him.
He's an MLS stalwart. I think he was on
Yeah.
the Revolution for a while before he came here. So
Yeah. A lot of the soccer fans in the U.S. they either love or they hate the MLS, and a lot of the players that they see on the national team, I guess they kind of base their opinion on those players on if they have the chance to leave the MLS. So, like Jesus Ferreira, he's 22, he's scoring good goals.
Yeah.
People like him because he might go to Europe. But like Paul Arriola and Sebastian Lletget, they're MLS lifers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm probably in that crowd. If I'm being honest. If I think about all the players I want to see on the men's national team, it's everybody playing in Europe or the people
Or the
on
young and
move
promising.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I mean, if you have a lot of potential, or you were already too good for the MLS, like we talk about watching players on other teams, and you're just like, you're too good to be here, man.
Yeah.
I can tell. Like you're going places,
Yeah.
whether you're in your prime or not. You're going places, and you're better than where you are right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's something you can tell visibly very easily in games. Like in that last game, I didn't see a player on Portland that I was like, "You're too good for the MLS." They just beat us. Maybe Evander.
Maybe Evander. I
don't know.
I hate him anyway. 'Cause
Yeah.
He celebrated right in front of me.
If someone was saying they had ice in their veins in front of me, I'd hate them too.
Oh my god! I wanted to throw my water bottle at him, but that
Mo kind of downplayed that.
he walks 5 feet in front of me, and Mo goes, "Sheesh!" And I was like,
Dude, that is so cringe. He's like a Fortnite
I
kid.
know, I'm back in middle school. Anyway, who else does FC Dallas have? They have Jesus Jimenez, who gets a few starts. He's had a few starts for them.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't done a whole lot for FC Dallas this year. He had 10 goals in 37 games for Toronto FC last year, though. So they're hoping to get a little bit more out of him. I think he hasn't made it through 90 minutes this season for Dallas,
Okay.
but he has 1 assist.
Yeah.
Kind of just another look for the central striker role. Sometimes they play, if they go with a 4-2-3-1, they'll play him as the top striker, and then Ferreira will be right behind him
The
in the
cam.
10. Yeah. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
They also have Paxton Pomykal.
great name.
He's 22. He's a U.S. national team prospect. Apparently, he did really well at the U20 World Cup.
Okay.
But yeah, he hasn't really done anything this year. No crazy stats or anything. Yeah.
Somebody they're missing pretty dearly is Alan Velasco.
Yeah.
20-year-old Argentinian winger. He has their highest FOMOB rating throughout the season, but he's out for at least until the end of May with a sprained knee. But he had 2 goals through 7 games. So we're glad to miss him.
He's much more creative than anyone that they have in their starting 11 right now. He reminds me a lot of San Jose's right winger Espinoza.
Yeah,
And just the way that he's like very shifty on the ball, and I do fear his right foot.
Yeah, he does like to shoot. I was gonna say
he hits some
from
long
outside
shots.
the box.
Yeah, so glad we're not running into him. I will say FC Dallas they get a home field advantage, and it plays for them. You know, it's not like they drop points at home. They got 10 of their 15 points are from home. I wish I could say Cities has a...
No, it doesn't matter for us.
Yeah, we have like a cauldron or a home field, you know? Like it's a big deal to go into Old Trafford and get points, right? Like,
Yeah.
Look, man, we're like
going
10
to
games
Anfield,
in.
You go into Anfield, it's hard to get
You got to
points.
build the culture. As long
feel
as
like-
the fans keep doing their thing
Yeah.
and the team responds,
Our
we will have the cauldron.
It's true.
Our first few games, I feel like the atmosphere was pretty intense,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just kind of died down a little bit.
Maybe it's died down. It's true.
It's because of the dog park.
I wasn't in...
Dude, why are they like making dogs watch people play soccer? That's literally torture. It is a dog that wants to run out onto the grass field and kick the ball, like hit it with its nose and go Air Bud.
It's because we're sponsored by Purina.
I know, but like
a little
bring-
ridiculous.
just make the whole section like a field trip for like a CYC team or something like that, not a dog park.
I don't know if I'm here for the dogs.
It's a bad look.
I'm just waiting for one to escape and run out onto the field.
I think it's just gonna shit everywhere. Like
Yeah.
it's just gonna be just poop and pee everywhere. What?
Yeah.
I hope it bites the ref's leg if he refs like last game.
Yeah, that was terrible. It is a different experience. This is my first game that I didn't sit in the supporter section. Way different. And I'm sorry, like
Better
I
or
feel
worse?
bad. Worse. I wish Mo had come to his first game in the supporter section because
Yeah.
he was like, "This is it." Like I was like, "It's look over there. It's more fun." Like,
Everyone else
you guys
over
are
there,
really
they're
close.
yelling, and
Yeah.
we are like, we're standing, but it's not like that.
Yeah. So hopefully we can I mean I was still happy with the supporters even though we lost. Like everybody was still in it. And when we got that goal, everybody was like fired up. We're like, hell yeah, let's get back in. But
Dude, we thought the team would be fired up, and then like 2 minutes later,
yeah.
they just let one in, and that's
Yeah.
completely deflating.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We're going into Dallas. We're looking for 3 points.
I think it's a must win in my head.
You think so?
At least a draw. Like you cannot lose 2 in a row. It's not allowed.
It's not allowed.
No. Or else.
The whole team is banished.
Or else.
It's more depression.
I can't do another week of this, all right? I can't. I'm going to be looking like Kevin Ichio over in KC, bro.
Dude,
Depression.
KC looks bad. What were you telling me before? The KC coach, what's his name?
Vermes.
Vermes.
No,
Yeah.
I've heard he's also their GM. He's like in charge of everything. He's like the puppet master of their whole.
That's probably
Squad.
why he took
Yeah.
the job.
Well, apparently he was offered the U.S. national team head coach job, and he turned it down to stay with KC
Thank God.
after
Stay
Greg
in
got
KC,
fired.
homie.
Yeah,
You
I think
good.
It's
Yeah.
probably
Keep doing what you're doing in KC, man.
It's probably gonna be Jesse Marsh.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
I would enjoy that.
I think we need another. We need to make a new show called Soul of the Nation. We'll talk about U.S. men's national team stuff once
Yeah.
it starts heating up a little bit more.
Yeah,
But
I'm here for it.
yeah. Do you guys have anything else that you want to add about FC Dallas, St. Louis City? Do you have any? What do you think our score predictions are? What's our starting lineup? What do you
I'm
think Carnell's gonna? We already
I'm gonna
talked about
bet
what
on
we
the
want.
4-2-3-1 just because of how awful last week's performance
Yeah.
was, and I think we will see the usual 4-2-3-1 just with Aziel Jackson in the 10 role, Leuven and Vasilev in the 2 holding midfield roles, and then the same like top 3 kind of Stroud, Alm, and Gio. I don't know why he's so reluctant to give Celio or Jensen a start, specifically Celio. I think he's earned.
I
it
don't
a
think
lot more.
Jensen's earned it yet.
Yeah, but Celio definitely has, and I still don't think he's going to get it. I don't know why, but it's just a gut feeling.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's also going to be the 4-2-3-1. I kind of think that Ostrak or Celio or Aziel Jackson, I think one of them's going to start at the 10. and then Gio, Stratton, Alm. As you said.
I don't know how I feel about Celio in the 10, just in terms of like, I don't know. I don't know why. I just get a weird feeling about that. I think he just doesn't.
He's more of a
fit
pure
that
like
role.
winger.
Yeah, he's more of an
is.
outside player. If Celio gets the start, I think it happens in a 4-4-2, and he's the second striker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
could
want.
see it.
I don't want to see him in a role where he has to like receive the ball and turn
With
and do
his back
something
turn?
with it. I want
Yes.
him running like
Exactly.
onto people.
Exactly.
So definitely not the role for him.
That's why I think Ostrak could grow into it. I know he hasn't really shown
Every
his
time he
full
turns,
potential,
I feel like he's losing the ball.
but he's
Yeah.
better at doing it than other players. Him
That's
and
true.
Vasilev, best turning ability.
Vasilev,
Yeah.
definitely. Ostrak doesn't look behind him. He just turns. And if someone's
Yeah.
there, then he gets the ball taken from
Yep.
him.
Well,
I think he
Works
has promise as a sub.
Yeah.
okay.
For now. We'll
now.
see.
Yeah.
Score predictions. What do you guys think? I know I said a win is a must, but I think I have to go with a 1-1 draw. Yeah.
Go for it.
I'm slightly nervous about Jesus Ferreira and co. So I think they're going to score one. I hope that we can figure it out on offense and score, but we're playing away. I kind of think we're going to lose this one.
A 1-0 loss.
1-0 loss, that's my guess.
Does it change? I know my prediction changes if Klaus is back. Does yours,
Yes,
does
if
yours
Klaus
change
is
if Klaus is
back,
back?
then I think we tie. Actually, we might even win that one, honestly.
I say 2-1 if Klaus is back, 1-1 if he's not.
I think we're going to see a win either way. And I want to see a great performance from Maziel Jackson in that 10 role. And I think that Gio gets one, and I think he'll get one.
Oh,
That's
I'd love
my
I would
prediction.
love to see that.
the
I would
lineup-
love to
He
see
looked
that.
really good in that Union Omaha game. Like he looked very.
Leverkusen and looking at him.
Yeah, he has a lot of promise.
Yeah.
The depth in the midfield is there. It's just not being. Like,
Yeah, Carnell.
You don't want to have to test it against someone that's 2 places behind you in the table, but we do. So
Yeah.
make it happen.
Carnell has, I feel like, a lot of weight on his shoulders to get the lineup right starting off in this game against Dallas. Like, if he picks the wrong lineup, we're just going to have a lot of the same that happened against Portland, a.k.a. possession with no intent. We just have to recycle it or we cross it into the box and no one's there.
Yeah. Part of what makes me think where he's going to come back with the 4-4-2s is in his presser after the Portland game. He said there was nothing wrong with the structure. It was self-inflicted problems. And I'll give Carnell a lot of credit because I think he made the right subs at the right moment too. Like
Well,
that,
he did. We
that
got the goal
move
back.
completely worked. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then it was really like the self-infliction was just like,
Turning off on defense.
yeah, kids feeling themselves a little bit too much and
It was the
not,
kickoff
and not
glitch.
coming back. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Kickoff glitch. So I think maybe last ep people were a little harsh on Carnell, but it's just on the lads. You gotta die for 3.
got to die for 3 points.
Is that from something?
Yes, it's from a
It's a
video,
video.
of a manager in England, and dude,
We'll throw it on the Twitter.
Yeah, I forget what exactly like club he's managing and stuff, but it's like a documentary about him. It's very funny. Just go on YouTube and look up "You've Got to Die for 3 points," and you'll find the video that we're referencing.
All right.
All right. I think that's the pod. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Join us next Sunday after the game.
Hopefully, we die and get 3 points. Thank you for watching this episode of Soul of the City, brought to you by First Touch Media and Anchor FM. Make sure to check us out on YouTube at First Touch Media, and all of our socials are at First Touch 314. Thank you for watching.